Good morning, afternoon, evening, anytime that you may be seeing the restream or coming on live. As you see, we've been doing some um, presentation work here. I noticed that my last stream only recorded 8 seconds because I wasn't monitoring on my other device. So now I'm monitoring a little bit better now, the stream. And we're going to redo podcast 5, minor scales for our beginner musicians. How is everyone doing? Yes, I'm still in Studio B. I've done some upgrades here, added a camera and a quieter air conditioner. You might hear it kick on. It's keeping the room um, suitable up in this area. And I've got an additional light here. Camera should adjust for that. How is everyone doing? As you know, we are looking to reach the uh, the new musicians who are coming to this site, who are viewing the thousands, and I can say that because I do have over 2,000, approaching 3,000 videos on the site, and a lot of the videos may be out of their reach because they didn't have anyone to break down exactly what is this music thing that they are involving. So I'm using a workbook. You see in the chat there is a link to the Patreon, and as you can see I have a Patreon link in the template there of where you can download this workbook I created back in 2011, which helps the musician who's playing or has found themselves in front of an instrument and they're stuck maybe in 2 or 3 keys and they're reaching for, let's call it technological advantages to sound like they can play in all the keys, and they're just using the advantage of technology, missing out really on the beauty of understanding the process of making music. So I'm covering this series. This is for our beginner musicians so that they can get an advantage to learning the songs that they are required to learn as a new church musician or as a musician in general. And we're going to cover a lot of things using AI vocals here and there, but we're laying the actual groundwork. We're breaking up the ground, you might say, digging deep, which is the theory behind piano playing, and then building from there, as well as giving you basic instruction on playing songs. So that's my opening monologue, you might say. My picture is going to disappear as we change different scenes because I don't have all the cameras I have in the major studio, but this is Studio B, my upstairs studio that I'm working from. So enough talk from me. Let's go to the piano lab. Also, I got to make you this reminder. Please don't forget to all right, so this is the piano lab as I've just labeled it. This is where the workbook will come into play. As you can see, I've taken away uh, the computerized uh, assistance of showing you the chord names or showing you the name of the notes. This is where the musicians are supposed to be in an environment that they're using visual guides versus electronic guides. Every musician knows middle C is usually found in the middle of your keyboard. That should be going through there. I'm just watching and monitoring the volume of it. And if you're unaware of where middle C is, if you go to the Patreon link, as I have provided in the chat, and it'll also be provided in the description, this is what the workbook will look like when you download it. It's an actual PDF download. This is from 2011. All this is old information. No one uses MySpace anymore. As you can see, I provide you with a table of content, and all of this information is from chord books and scale books that I had available to me. So we give you a reference, not just how or what notes look like, but how you should be holding your fingers when you're actually playing. Now, if you've seen any of my videos, you will notice that my hands don't really bang unless I want percussive sounds out of the music. But I use my fingers, as the image there shows you, to play the notes. Now, we've covered this in series 1, so we're not going to go over all of that. But just want to let you know this is where this information is coming from. We also covered playing the scales and knowing which fingers apply to which hand. Again, all to build your muscle memory and, of course, gain the concept of playing notes with your fingers and I'll call it the generic fingering, so that you can at least get an advantage of knowing how to move your hands across the scales. So that's what that's for. Next, we went into, and these are the different podcasts that are already up, just doing a quick summary. The minor scale, this is the harmonic minor scale, which I have found as I began to really dig deep into what I'm listening to in songs. The scales that a lot of gospel songs select their chords from. And I laid out what some of those songs were. Again, practicing in not just the left hand, but in the right hand. And you work on them both together to build syncopation and recognition of the high, low, and the middle notes. So for today, we're going to be covering the minor scale. And the minor scale, I'm going to go back to this page here. The minor scale is a snapshot of a major scale. And this is what didn't get covered when the video stopped only 8 seconds into it. So I'm monitoring it now to make sure I can see that it is timing it up. We're at the 10-minute mark now. Let me just adjust my chair over. Got a little more space here. When you look at the minor scale, we've done the harmonic minor scale already. The minor scale is a whole, half, whole, half, whole. This is C minor. Now, if you were to take the flatted 1, 2, 3 flatted third note for that minor scale, and play, in this case, E flat, the E flat major scale, you will find that the notes in the E flat major scale, if you continue down, becomes the C minor scale. This is I'll call it, what's the word I want to use? It will come to me. This is what musicians hide from each other. Is the word I want to use. I'll call it technique, where if you know your major scales in one key, go down that scale and stop on the third note down. That is the minor scale for that key. So that gives the person learning minor scales a leg up on understanding that go 3 notes and just do the major scale, and that's the major scale of that third note of the minor scale. Same concept in D flat, C sharp, depending upon how you want to approach it. If you know the major, that's the flat. Now play the major scale in that flat key, in this case would be E. Now you have the notes of the D flat minor scale. Again, if you don't know the major scale, this is going to be confusing, which is why we're doing it in steps and why I've shown you the image there from the booklet of where the major scale is for these notes. That is a tip and a technique that you can employ as you're building your scale sense. So you're actually practicing two scales at the same time. The major scale and the minor scale and in one key and the major scale in the other key, just by extending those notes. That's the major scale. But stop at this note, which would be the sixth note in this case. And now that becomes the minor scale of D flat C sharp. And the same concept, again, if you practice the major scale in one key, and then follow that same concept, stop there. There is your minor scale. Now these minor scales, major scales are paramount in forming your chords. Let's go back to C minor. Not the harmonic minor, but the minor scale. You will find that when you do that minor chord, this chord is in C minor, this chord is also in E flat. Why? Because they share the same notes. But in the major sense, it sounds the same. Why? Because they're using the same notes. So this chord here will fit here. Why? Because they're using the same notes. Now, of course, when you begin to break up and to arpeggiate notes, you'll find that you can make some real beautiful music. The same concept falls here. When you're in C or D flat minor, you're also in E major. Because they share the same scale notes. Going to D, when you do D major, and you go and you flat the third note, now you're in F major. That's D minor. But if you stop at the F and make that the 1, now you're playing the same notes that are in F minor. So when you hear songs like For Every Mountain, and you're wondering, well, how do they get those chords in For Every Mountain? Is For Every Mountain in D minor? Or is it in F major? Chord changes. These are the secrets that a lot of your older church musicians and maybe some musicians today won't share with the beginner musicians because they may get a leg up on them. It's just looking at where the root of the key is. If it's in D minor, you can think F major. Okay, the passing tones, that's coming. So that's D minor, which is in essence F major. Why? Because the major, when you flat it for the minor note, this now becomes the major scale of F, but the support for the minor scale of D. All right, E flat, and you see me, I'm doing both hands. Again, if you've practiced the scales, the basic scales in our first podcast, it's not an issue finding the notes because they're right there. They're right where your fingers are. Your major scales will teach your fingers how to fall to those notes, but as you become more comfortable when you're playing, you'll decide which finger or which fingers you want to use to approach your keys. Now, as you see, very rarely does my hand leave the keyboard once I know where I'm going. All right, E flat. Now, E flat is that key that has, one of the keys I should say, up in the upper register in the black keys, that is going to use all of the black key notes, which means E flat major. Well, the minute you go minor, you're thinking now F sharp, for those who like F sharp, or G flat major. Those are the same notes that make up E flat minor. There's your F major, but when I stop here, it's E flat minor. Now, E flat minor is one of those keys that if you've learned any of the Hezekiah Walker songs, let me see, what's that song? Why Should I Worry? Why Should I Worry? Now that chord change on the bottom is not in that scale, but that chord is one note away from, in this case, the minor scale of E flat. So you can get this chord. Why should I worry? Why should I fret? Look at all the ways he's made, and every calm is kept. I look to the hills. There's the major. From with cometh my help. Tell me where my help. Now, is this song in the key of F or is it in the key of D flat? Tell you where my help. These are the chords that were prominent in my day. Tell you where my help cometh. It's cometh from the Lord. So, same scales, but it's in the key of F, that song. But it is using elements of the E flat minor scale. And once you have learned to apply theory behind any song, you can put that song in any key. So that's E flat scale. E major or E minor scale is a fun scale because it's G major. If you continue and just do the G major scale, back to E minor, you'll hear the actual G major scale when you're playing E minor. What song did I want to use for that? Let me see. Again, I like to jump around. Quartet songs, I'll use that. They'll use that. What changed? The scale, bottom scale note. Minor, major G, E minor, G major. They're right there, the same notes. Which makes it now easier to hear chords because you'll know that they are relying on one or two scales, or one of three scales. The major scale, the harmonic minor scale, which is the there it is. The harmonic minor scale, that gives you all your classical sounding, or this straight minor scale, which is the major scale of the third note of the, there's the major, there's the minor. That minor key gives you the notes now to the minor scale. The minute you go down here, now major scale, I'm sorry, there we go, because that is part now of the G major scale. I hope I'm not confusing any of our listeners, those who are still here. This is a concept that I had to grasp once I got a scale book in front of me that actually broke down, let me just back you up, that actually broke down where the notes are, and then what fingering can I use for those notes in a major scale, then have a reference of a minor scale, in this case harmonic minor, because I was hearing chords that weren't in the minor scale G. Then I found out, oh, there's a different type of, I think there are three minor scales. As I was looking at the charts, I was going to perhaps pull up, but there are three minor scales. There's the minor scale, the harmonic minor scale, and the natural minor scale. And I believe the natural minor scale is, if I remember right, that is the natural minor, and that is the harmonic minor, and that is the minor scale. So as you develop your affection, and I'll use that term, your affection for what the scale notes sound like, all of a sudden all of these chords that you're hearing musicians play, you'll go, wait a minute, let me look at my scale notes. Where is that chord in the context of a scale? Is he in G or is he in E minor? Yes, I'm in both. This chord is in both. Because if I were to move my root to here, what changed? The root, the last note, the note that determines where every chord is coming from. Let me pull up. Actually, we're not ready for the chords yet, so I won't do that yet. I was going to pull in the chord app so you can see how the notes change. But that's coming in the latter lessons. So let me take a pause right now. I find that sometimes I have so much going on that I need to put a pause in there to give you a chance to absorb this. So we're going to go to the intro page a bit, let you listen to a little music while I make a quick stop. Be right back. Sorry about that. I have medication that when it kicks in, it lets me know that it's working. I hope that you are getting some information that I'm able to share with you. I'm going to bring up another page I'm working on. Let's see if I can pull it up now. There we go. Let me just pull this over. I don't know how that changed. There we go. Our YouTube page. This is where, oh, that's why it changed, because I did that. Hold on. Let me just bring this out a little bit. They say we'll do it live. There we go. This channel has been active here in the YouTube environment since 2006. So you have a picture, a window rather, as to how this channel evolved back in 2006 and where it's currently sitting. As you know, I'm getting deep into AI music creation. There's always been an actual songwriter in me. So, and I want to be able to explore that world. So you see that I may be a little longer than doing the actual viewer requests, because I'm still, you might say, in the training process. And I've just started using Logic Pro also. I've been a Pro Tools user. In fact, Pro Tools is on my system downstairs. I put Logic on my system up here because the software that I'm using for vocals gives me more features than Pro Tools does. So I'm teaching myself Logic also. There will be some videos with me using Logic, doing song creation. That's what I want to be able to sponsor on this channel. But as you can see, I wanted you to see, this is the main page for Sound of Joy. Currently 2.9 thousand videos. I'm sure we're going to make 3,000 without no problem, because I got some more videos in mind that I want to do. But you see that we try to put up from a beginning video some of our lessons, some of our music creations, so you can keep track of what's happening on the channel. We have let me see, I'm just looking at it, because sometimes I don't look at this channel as much as I should. It keeps up with the latest videos that are produced and how many views they're getting. I guess I'm trying to get my views up, because I as a content creator for YouTube, I do look at other channels that are doing similar things that I'm doing, and I'm not doing something right to have been here now 19 years and not getting at least 2,000 or 3,000 views per month per video. So you're going to see me changing a lot of my content in order to get more viewer engagement. This is why you see me now pushing. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. There you go, and the notification so that you know a new video drops. Trying to get the algorithm to see that I'm getting more views on my videos, so I can at least compete with all those who have come, who maybe didn't start 19 years ago as I did, but have a much larger audience. But I do appreciate the audience that I do have. But as you can see, we have broken down everything to cover just about any kind of musician out there who's supporting a church, number one, or just likes the sound of gospel music and want to know what are those chords, those musicians that I hear on these albums or those recordings are doing. So we give you that. We have, of course, all the shorts that I'm posting now. I'll be working on some R&B, vocal, and I'm also looking at doing some pop music. That's what Logic is going to allow me to do, is to recreate that pop sound, but my version of it. So you're going to see those coming up. You've got our popular videos there. These are the older ones, which the quality is not there on the older ones, but that you can see the actual progression from when I started to where we are right now. what is that? How to Gospelize a Melody, I think, is the most popular one. And I might redo that one to give it an actual fresher look. That one I enjoyed. That's 12 years ago. I really enjoyed doing that one because it was a way of showing how the jazz world fits within the gospel music world. They're both basically married to each other. Of course, the live streams are there. I think this one is up now, yes. And of course, viewer request is where you can go and see, I believe it's over 400 viewer requests there. Let's see if I can go into it. 581. I don't know if you can see that with my mouse. It doesn't show you that. I can highlight that. There, I just highlighted. 581 viewer requests. And they're not all the same song, but sometimes they're the same song, but in a different key. But for the most part, I'd say 570 of these are requests from those who view the channel for a song that they're working on or for a song that they want to learn. And I do appreciate that because it gives me a chance to stretch out on my ability to hear songs I've never heard before and give an adequate representation of what that song sounds like from an instructional standpoint. Now, like the other channels that I do monitor, they go a little more in depth in their chords. I go in it from a teaching standpoint. Let me teach you how the chord sounds. This way, you can learn the song and you'll be able to grow versus being able to just basically copy chords. So that's that. Let's go back to what we were working with. Taking a break there. All right, so, and again, thank you for those that are watching, those that are still here, those who are seeing the replay. We're going to cover all of the scale notes. I believe we stopped at F. Now, F major is F major. You go to A flat and look at the major scale in A flat. That will take you to the stop on the F or make the F your root key. That is your F minor scale. Now, a lot of musicians love playing in A flat and then going to the sixth note, which they consider to be the F minor. And then they add additional movement to it. Now, what happens there is that you are looking at what you can do with scales. You're looking at the scales, looking for a note that's away from it to give you that tritone sound. Now, are we in A flat or are we in F minor? We're in both. We're in both keys. We're in both A flat. Our root key determines the actual chord designated name. You know, guys like to say F major, ninth, flatted ninth with a fifth and a 13th. That's what Chordiat breaks out for me. For me, I want to know, well, where's the lowest note? Because that will tell me what key or what key I can look for that chord to be built under. I hear this chord already. If I take away all the notes, there's my A flat. But the minute I add this note, it's no longer A flat. It's now in the F minor family. And that's how we're going to instruct our beginner musicians how to find the chords to any song they're playing in any key they're in by selecting the appropriate scale that chord is built under. So F minor, continue up, it's A major, A flat major, F minor, G flat, F sharp. This one gets a little more trickier. This is why you practice major scales in every key. This one becomes major, F minor, G flat minor, there we go, becomes A major. So if you've never practiced the A major scale, you'll have a problem with this one. But practice your major scales as we covered. Again, we give you the major scales in every key as your initial learning, beginning to understand the Piano 101. Once you've got the major scales down and you go to the minor scales, you will find how close those two scales are. A matter of 2 notes. Or 3 notes, depending upon which minor scale that you select. And we talked about all 3 of them. Let's go back to this, because this is a good reference. So G flat minor is A major. Use those notes within G flat. G major becomes G minor. The third note is the B flat major scale. I think you're beginning to hear the concept now. Because if you were to go to B flat and play the B flat major scale, there's the B flat major scale contained within G minor. Now, what songs are G minor? What songs are in G minor that I could think of? Spirit of the Lord, Fred Hammond. Nope, that's harmonic. That's why I said some of these songs are written in the minor, the different 2 minors, either the basic minor or the harmonic minor. That Fred Hammond song, when the Spirit of the Lord comes upon my heart, I will dance like David. So again, this is the concept that I want to be able to show, how these scales are utilized, especially not just in gospel music, but in all types of music. So that's G minor. A flat major becomes what? Minor. B. B major now becomes your path to playing the A flat minor scale. And once you hear that that correlation, that actual similarity, when you listen to anything from the Brooklyn, and I'll use Professor Butch Haywood as my example because I do know him personally. We came up together in the New York City area as musicians. He had Brooklyn, I had Manhattan for over 25 years, but we learned some of his songs. It took a while, but I had to figure out what is he doing in B major, what he's playing in A flat. I said, oh, there's the B major scale, but there's also the A flat minor scale. So that's why B is such an easy key because he's playing in both the minor of A flat and in B major. Okay, there it is. I said, oh, so that's how he's able to jump around B major, because he's really in A flat minor, which uses the same scale notes as B major. Next up, which I think is the easiest one, A major, A minor, C. If you can't play in the C, if you can play in the C major scale, you can play in A minor, because they use right across the white notes. And there's your A minor. And if you can finger the C major scale, it is the same muscle memory for C major. So now when you want to play Order My Steps in C, all white keys, all white keys, all white keys, all white keys, all white keys. I didn't touch one black key. Now, is that song in A minor or is it in C? Yes, it's in both. The song is in C major and in A minor. Starts in A minor. Now it's in C. It's still in C, back to A minor. C, still in C, still in C. There's a little half tone chord there. Again, one chord, one note up from the scale determines what that sound is. Back in C. One half note up gives you that chord change. One note. Add more to give you that more of a contemporary sound. Which I think may be one reason why I have so many. Welcome, Jeff. I have so many viewer requests to put these songs that's in F down into C. I'm wondering, are they cheating me? Because they're more comfortable playing in C, and then they find the transpose button, and now they're in F, but they're playing in C. I want to let the transpose button be just an ornament on the keyboard and something you don't reach for right away. So this way, if you hear a minor sounding song, you know that third note is the major of that scale. So they're going to build their song either on the minor of that scale or the major of this, because they're right there. They're using the exact same notes. It's a matter of where the minor is stopping. So that's A major. So if A major puts you if A minor puts you into C major. B flat, we don't say A sharp, we say B flat, is going to be using half a step down on the third note, D flat. So if you can play well in D flat, you can now play in B flat minor, because they use the same exact notes. Now all of my steps is in D flat, but there's that B flat, I say D flat, it's in the key, but there's that D flat chord. And again, this is one of those keys that uses all of the black notes. There's only 5 of them, but it gets to use all of them, which means your practicing scales gets your fingers used to falling on directly upon them. The late Timothy Wright wrote a song, whose side are you on? Whose side are you? I'm on the Lord's side. That is, I should know the title of that song. I've played it so many times. Which is written in B flat minor. Took me a while to get comfortable on the left hand. There we go. Thumb crosses over. Gotta use all the fingers. Of course, again, we'll cover chording with the actual scale notes also. What else can you do in all in his hands? Major. Okay, that's again, tritones and chords that are built off of the major scale. All right, trying to think what else is in B flat minor that I could. Is that in that right key? Anthem of Praise. Yes, Richard Smallwood's Anthem of Praise. Let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. Hey, how you doing there? Now that's me. I'm doing good. So, and again, all of these songs that are any Richard Smallwood song, we have a lot of classical movement. He's always going to be in the harmonic and the minor scale with his songs, and he's going to be in the major scale also, so that you can hear the songs. Let's see. I gotta be careful with this one. No, that's not in minor. What is one of his minor songs that he does in B flat? Just running through my head. No, I don't think he has any minor songs. He has minor songs in G, in F. Again, if you know your D flat major scale, those are the same, in essence, the same notes that you will find in B flat minor. Once your ears get comfortable with hearing the difference between a major and a minor, all of a sudden chords will open up to you, and because you practice with fingering, you begin to move your fingers across. You begin to move your fingers across because your thumb will know how to come across. And you hear it in your head what you want to do. And if you don't hear the correct note, you slow down and you go find that note you want to hit. All right. E major, no, excuse me, B major becomes a lot more palatable if you practice the D major scale. There's the B major scale, half a step down on the third note. Now it becomes a D major scale. Again, that's your root note. Transfer to the D major scale, continue up there, and you've got the B minor scale. A lot of musicians will stray away from B major, let alone the B minor scale. But you will find that all of these scales have so many notes in common. D major has elements of G in it. One note difference. So B minor has chords that you can use in B major. That's what I wanted. There it is. There it is. Just getting comfortable playing those notes will give you a leg up on the musicians that won't show you how they build their chords. I'll put it like that. If though they've been gifted with a secret and mum's the word, hush, don't tell anyone, let them figure it out for themselves. This is why Sound of Joy exists. This is why there is a Sound of Joy, because I came through that, just changing the scene here. I came through that era as a young musician. I'm gonna have to change this chair. As a young musician who would ask the older musicians, can't you show me what you were doing? And they would either stop playing or they would turn and hide their hands because they had other musicians around them when I would ask, and would not let me see, or at least direct me, say, hey, go have your parents take you to the bookstore, to the music store. I'm trying to think who was in my era. Sam Ash wasn't in my area back at that time. But churches did not invest in their young musicians so that they can be of service in their younger years before, when they get older, they move on with life, which will more than likely take them away from that church. So this is why Sound of Joy exists. 1992, I looked behind me and there was no young musician trying to ask me, how do you do that? And that kind of discouraged me. I said, we're not building musicians for churches. So in 1992, I don't have any of my images for when I started on this computer. I'll have to bring them up on this computer. I have images of the paperwork that I would create to mail to churches, offering to show younger people how to get active in learning basic music to be able to support their churches. And no pastor felt the need. They said, well, I don't need a musician. I said, but you will need a musician in the future. Wouldn't it be nice to have one come out of your home church? Wouldn't it nice to have 3 or more trained at the same time? And I was doing it for free back then. But I understand that if it don't come from the head, everyone else will follow. So no pastors saw the need for my support for their ministries back in 1992. In 1999, AOL became available to me through the internet. Well, it wasn't the internet then. Well, I guess it was the internet. AOL, where we had the dial-up modems. I had the 300 baud modem, and then I got the higher ones as my pocketbook grew, and I could afford DSL connections so that I could get on YouTube with DSL. And those are the early videos that you see from 2006, made with a very inexpensive camcorder. I think I was one of the first on the internet to have the overhead view. When you see this overhead view like this, you look at all of my earlier videos. In fact, let me do that. Let's go to and let's look at, again, the lesson is over, but just having some conversation for those that are here. Let's go to this page. Spare, okay. My earlier videos, I had only a camcorder. So of course you're using a microphone from the camcorder. That's all I had. Let's go into my search and let's go to Casio. I think that's one of the first videos that I put up. "16 years ago, morning practice." "17 years ago, my Casio, demo of my Casio keyboard." That would be this one here. 109,000 views. Let's see if we can pull that up. So it's because I want you to see that perseverance is important when you have a desire to share. Let me turn on a capture so you can hear what it sounds like. Jesus is the light, light.